Welcome to the Databricks Skill Builder series. We're glad you're here.
What's up, data people? My name is Hobbs, and we're going to be talking about business intelligence again today, specifically the ability to never have to make a dashboard by hand again. So, what am I talking about? We, not too long ago, started calling the Databricks Assistant Genie Code because we had expanded its functionality just from assisting you to realistically acting like an agent who would go in, run its own code, check its own code, go back, test different hypotheses, plan out 10 or 12 steps, roll through all of them. So Genie Code, or the Databricks Assistant now, has this feature which allows you to open up a blank dashboard, go to the little Genie Code icon in the top right, Databricks Assistant, and type in the dashboard you want and get it back out again. So I'm going to walk you through that process as a demo. And then I did do this before because it does take a while to run. So let's start off with what are we going to be building on top of? Databricks has some sample data built into every workspace. Some of that data is called the Bakehouse data. If any of you were at Data and AI Summit 2 years ago, this was in a really killer demo we did on stage. So the Bakehouse data is just a franchise of bakeries that make cookies, and it's 7 or 8 tables related to that idea. I have taken those tables, which are available in all workspaces, and I built a metric view. So really quickly, what's a metric view? A metric view is a semantic layer that sits on top of your Databricks environment and all the tables inside of it. So I've got those tables joined together here so they can communicate. I have defined some calculations that I think are relevant for what I want to do. And on top of this object, I can then build things like dashboards and Genie spaces or point it towards other BI tools. I'm going to come up to the top right here, and we are going to do create a dashboard. It always makes you initial page here, which I don't like, so I'm going to delete that. I don't need help. Thank you. And if I come back to data, you can see that metric view here as the base data set for this. You can also pull in SQL tables. You can also pull in views. You could even pull in other metric views if you wanted. For my purposes, I'm going to keep it simple. We're just going to have the one Bakehouse metric view, which under the table is made up of 4 different tables joined together. If I make a new page, again, I could come in and start adding all of the widgets myself, but we're going to skip all of that nonsense. We're going to come out here. I've opened up Genie Code. You'll notice that it knows where I am, so it says, oh, build your dashboard. And I can either pass in a sample data set or make a visualization, find a table. I'd like to do something more robust than that. So I'm going to type out a prompt here. It's going to be mildly detailed, but not heavily detailed. I'm going to say, I have a metric view for Bakehouse, oops, in this blank dashboard. Make me a 7-page dashboard, which has different insights for different users. An executive summary. I'm not too worried about spelling, but I probably can't be this awful. Executive summary, insights by franchise, by geography, by customer, by product, etc. Add some counter visuals at the top using time intelligence measures for the line in the background. Add levels of detail as we go. I want a blue color scheme just because I like the color blue. Hide extra axes and add descriptive text. Okay, there were plenty of typos in that. And obviously, when you're doing prompt engineering, the more you put in, the more accurate what you get out is. I've been reasonably vague. All I said is I wanted these different pages. I didn't say what I wanted on them. I did say that I wanted counter visuals at the top, so high-level KPIs up at the top. I always like, you can put in the background of those counter visuals a little line chart, which shows you how that metric is progressing over time. I like those, so I've specifically requested something I like. I like the color blue. I know I'm wearing orange, but I do like blue as well. So this goes in. What this agent then does is it is looking at the background using the fact that it's directly in Unity Catalog. It has access to the metadata for all of your tables, and it's going to say, okay, well, let's look at this metric view. Let's see what values are available here. It then makes a plan. So it says, we're going to rename the dashboard. We're going to set a theme. We need 7 pages. I didn't give it 7 things I wanted, so it's made some out. There's the executive summary, franchise, geography, customer, product, and it added supplier and time. So it goes through these steps one at a time, taking action to build these things out. Once it gets to each of these, it then puts all of the elements on the page for me with whatever instructions that I have provided for it. So this process, being frank, usually takes 5-ish minutes, and you guys probably don't want to sit and watch this run, but I am going to leave it running, and I'll show you one that I did. I promise with no cheating, right? There's no cheating involved in this. The only thing I did to make this dashboard was put a prompt in to Genie Code. That's it. That was 100% of the work. So here's what it came back with me for when I did this previously. So I've got some global filters. I've got my executive summary, which breaks things down. Here's a text summary of what it felt like was relevant information. You've got those lines in the background that I personally really enjoy, so that's why they're there. And then we've got all of these different pages, overall sales performance, a breakdown by franchise, different customer analytics that you can do, daily trends and patterns, and then finally product and inventory level questions, all of which were built out for me on my behalf without me having to do a thing. Now then, is this going to get you 100% of what you want? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It doesn't really know intelligently all of the things that you know your audience wants from a dashboard, which takes me back to the prompt engineering side of this, right? When you're writing this prompt, the more you put in, the better what you get out will be. But given that I have put almost no effort into my prompt, I did this in 20 seconds flat, I'm going to expect then to go through and edit these pages in the way that I want them. Now here there's a split path. If you want some one-off change, for example, if I come back to here and I say, I like this, but instead of being a line chart, I'd like it to be an area chart or something like that. I'm probably going to make that change by hand. I'm going to come up to edit. I'm going to change this chart. If I discover that the output, I like the headers, but really I want the subheader, which tells people how to think about this. If that's a widespread bulk update, don't do bulk updates by hand. All you're going to do is come back over here into Genie Code and paste in the bulk updates that you want. So here's the workflow for this kind of thing. First, you want a good underpinnings. The data needs to be good and clean. Use a metric view if you can. Second, put as much information into Genie Code as you can to produce the outcome that you want. Third, look over what it's made for you. Recognize places there are bulk updates that could be made to make things better, and then loop through and begin to apply those not by hand, but by asking the agent to do the work on your behalf. Once you're out of bulk updates, like realistically, everything that's not one chart at a time has been done, okay, now you can come in and begin actually editing the fields. We can see this finally beginning to work here as it builds things out, and I'm going to clap some stuff down so that you can see. It's using the blue color scheme that I wanted. It's added in these counter visuals. It missed the line chart in the background, so I probably didn't describe that well enough. But now we're sort of off and away. And lo and behold, that time intelligence page was the last page. So everything else has been built. There's my executive front summary. Here's my franchise performance. This is where I was getting into geography. All of this gets made on my behalf. I wanted to walk you through that because you're going to spend time making dashboards, especially if you're an analyst of some kind. And this is a great way to do 90% of the grunt work on your behalf, just with a few well-written paragraphs is all that it takes to get really quite close to what you want. Second step, again, is those bulk updates, and again, use the agent for that. And then finally, you are always going to have to do some percentage of this work by hand. I hope this was helpful for you, and it increases the speed with which you can get questions answered. If you've got any comments or anything, leave them, and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you very much.